Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope you are doing well. Really good to see you. Excited to be on the stream with you today. We're continuing our coverage in the Bryan Kohberger case. He files a motion against the media, saying that the media is interrupting and getting in the way of his presumption of innocence. Essentially, is more of my paraphrase of what's going on there. Also, I want to talk a little bit about the attorney that Ann Taylor has added as co-counsel, helping defend Bryan Kohberger. She's actually somewhat of an expert in exoneration cases for people who are serving lifelong sentences. I'm going to go through her profile as well. Various other pieces of information coming out. And then Nancy Grace also has an episode I want to be able to cover with you guys in just a little bit. So we got a lot to talk about today. Make no mistake about it. We have a lot to talk about today. I'm sorry that I was not able to stream yesterday. I've been traveling. I'm still traveling. I'm at a hotel right now. Actually, we had death in our family, and so spent the day with my family today. And just really good to see you guys. Glad we're on the stream. Appreciate your support, Mickey. Thank you so much for that super sticker. Thank you so much. We've missed you. I think Mickey was on a trip, and thank you, Mickey, for that super sticker coming in hot. Amazing from the very beginning. I do just want to take a second and let you know we are totally crowd funded, which means we can't do what we do unless people like you come alongside and support us. And so I want to extend an invitation to anyone who's able to help support us today. You can support through PayPal, which is Tyler Feller. Cash App may be the best way to give because there's no fees. It's $ Tyler Feller 22, or Venmo, which is at Tyler-Feller. You can also send a super sticker or a super chat. All right. Okay. Are you guys ready to jump into this? Amy Heights, thank you so much for that. You said, welcome back, Mickey. Thanks for that super sticker. Appreciate that. Da-da-da-da. Extremely emotional. This is a new report coming out just moments ago from the Daily Sun. Family of Idaho murderers speak out as heartbreaking big dates approach. With Bryan Kohberger's lawyer, the family of a University of Idaho murder victim has released a new statement as she's set to receive a posthumous degree from the school this weekend. Kaylee Gonsalves was stabbed to death in an off-campus apartment last November alongside 3 other students. Golly. Every time we scroll past that picture of Bryan Kohberger, I'm like, there's a look. Feels like to me there's a look. Former criminology PhD student Bryan Kohberger has been charged with the murder of Gonsalves, Mogan, Kernodle, and Chapin. The other victims will be honored at the graduation ceremony on Saturday as well. It says, it's been a while since I've posted anything, and I wanted to check in. One of the Gonsalves family's parents said on the family's Facebook page. Let me see if I can open it up. Gonsalves. Hey everyone, it's been a while since I posted anything, and I wanted to check in. Kaylee and Maddie graduate from U of I on Saturday, and then Mother's Day on Sunday. This has been an extremely emotional week for me. I'm trying my best to stay strong. Our 4 kids, which are Kaylee's siblings, will be walking on her behalf and accepting her degree. I would have never imagined Kaylee not being able to accept her own degree that she worked so hard for. I will be taking a few days off of work to prepare myself for this upcoming weekend. So much love to you all. Dear goodness gracious almighty. That is terrible. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's tough. It's graduation ceremony, but a graduation ceremony on top. Graduation ceremony on top of Mother's Day. We need to be praying. And even Stacy Chapin, Ethan Chapin's mother, said the same thing. She's like, man, when Mother's Day rolls around, it's going to be extremely tough for us. So, golly, we need to be praying for them. Sure do. Whew. Oops. And the tweet that I was going to show from Jennifer Kopfdorfer is gone. Bryan Kohberger is fighting the media's issue regarding the gag order. Defense also wants to call an expert regarding the damage the media has caused. The defense is asking for an extension of the gag order hearing. They'll likely get it, which will delay the preliminary hearing. Interesting. Let's break this down. Let's break this down. By the way, guys, I'd love to know where you're watching from. You want to put it in the chat? I know we got some Australians in the house today. Saw someone else from other places. Love to know where you're watching from today. And I hope you guys are glad to see me. I'm glad to see you. Here we go. Begging for money and acts like he doesn't have any time he's making content. That's why he needs your money, because he doesn't have time to go get a job, but only shares others' content. That's a really narrow-minded and completely dishonest statement. And the funny thing is, you have a Venmo as your profile picture. So you're not welcome here. That's for sure. You are not welcome here. That's for sure. Okay, let's work our way through this. Australia, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Canada, Australia, Kentucky, Seattle. Why do I say Kentucky like that? Nevada, Ohio, North Carolina, Tennessee. Are you from Tennessee? Virginia, Alabama, Delta State. Washington. Great to see you guys. Okay. Let's talk through this tweet from Jennifer Kopfdorfer. Yuma, Arizona. Hey, it's a great city. Okay. Bryan Kohberger is fighting the media's issues regarding the gag order. So the defense is planning to call an expert to talk about the damage the media has caused. Huh. Do you guys think that the media has covered this case in a way that's actually going to change the outcome of the case? I mean, the whole job of the attorneys is to pick a jury that they believe can rule in the case in an unbiased way. So when I think about this, I think about it from a different perspective. I think the media has every single right in the country that we live in to cover this case, as much as a right that Bryan Kohberger has to live under a presumption of innocence. I don't think the media swayed the outcome of the case at all, in the very same way that I don't think the media swayed the outcome of the case of the Alec Murdaugh trial at all. So they have their responsibility on their shoulders to make sure that they are getting a jury pool that's going to look and reflect a presumption of innocence. I mean, that's on them, not on us. But there's freedom of the press in our country. It's part of what is supposed to make us great, along with freedom of speech and the other Bill of Rights that exist to us. So I'm curious your thoughts. Number one, put a one in the chat if you think, yes, they've impacted the outcome of the case, talking about the media, and put a two in the chat if you say no. I think no. I put a two in the chat. I say no. Like, I would say this, like, based off of what we know, based off of what is public and what we know, I very easily and very clearly think, personally, my opinion, that Bryan Kohberger is guilty. However, I think there's a lot we don't know. And if I was called to be on the jury, despite currently thinking that he's guilty based off of what I do know, I think I could very easily set on that jury trial and intake the information in an unbiased way and arrive at an outcome without a predetermined prejudice going in. And I think I'm not the only one that could do something like that. Based off of what we know, things that are public, I personally think Bryan Kohberger is guilty. However, there's a lot we don't know. And I would like access to that. And if I was on the jury, I could take the information in a concise and polite way. So, hey, by the way, guys, one of the things that we do on this channel, just as a way to invite people to support us, is we do something called a super sticker train. We do it about once per hour. That's just giving you an opportunity to support us, and we try to do it in a fun way. Literally, every time we make a video, thousands of people watch the video, and we only ask a small percentage of people that are watching to support us. But we have to do it in order to continue to create great content. And so I just think about that silly comment that person made earlier. It clearly doesn't even have an understanding of YouTube and what it takes to create content and continue to create good content and continue to have equipment and things like that you need. And it really was a ridiculous statement. But I do want to give you an opportunity to support the channel through super stickers or super chats. And so we do a super sticker train. I'd love it if this hour we can get 17 of you on the super sticker train, super chat train, as a way to show your support and help us out this hour. And then I can't believe that the defense is also asking for an extension in the gag order hearing. So if they get an extension in the gag order hearing, which is supposed to take place in just a couple of days, like less than 2 weeks from now, then it's going to end up putting the preliminary hearing possibly on a display. So that ends up becoming problematic, in my opinion. Let's read the actual court document and see what's said. So funny, today I made a video about the Gabby Petito case. I'm literally reading a court document in the video, and someone's like, all you do is gossip, essentially, is what they were implying with a bunch of Bible verses. And I'm like, gossiping? I'm reading the court document. How is that gossiping? We're not making things up. Like, we're literally just reading the court document. And the level of criticism that people have on the internet towards, like, I don't know, people like me, it's ridiculous. It's like you have to be okay with unnecessary criticism if you choose to be a YouTube commentator. I'll tell you that, because it comes at you. And usually I'm pretty good at it, pretty good at handling it most of the time. But there's just certain, like, when you're going through certain things in life, or it's been a tough week or that kind of thing, your threshold's a little bit weaker than normal. Hey, Karen, thank you so much for that super sticker. Really appreciate that. That's number one on our super sticker train. We're going for 17. Okay. Let's read this document. Comes now, Bryan Kohberger, bind through his attorney, J. Weston Logston, Chief Deputy Litigation, and hereby objects to the motion to reconsider order dated May 4th on the grounds that the media's motion to vacate the amended non-dissemination order raises factual issues that Mr. Kohberger requires additional time to prepare. So I think, golly, this is the part of the justice system that half of the time I think is actually like just a game, right? You sort of learn how to play the game of the justice system. And it feels like that's what he's doing in this situation. The media argues in its motion that it is irreparably harmed each day this court's amended non dissemination order remains in place. In essence, the media argues that this court should grant a temporary injunction against its own injunction. It claims that this was the intent of the Supreme Court because it moved quickly to determine that its petition for a writ was filed in the wrong forum and using the wrong vehicle. What the media fails to note is that the Supreme Court provided no such directive in its written decision. It also fails to note that the petition for a writ was purely legal, whereas it has repeatedly argued the basis for the entry or amendment of a non-dissemination order is a question of law and fact. The media seems to be acting on the premise that the order should simply vanish now that it has arrived on the scene. Instead, this court has reasonably and correctly recognized that the proper path forward is a hearing where the parties may show what evidence there is of prejudice and the potential for prejudice to Mr. Kohberger's 6th and 14th Amendment rights to a fair trial from the removal of a non-dissemination order in this trial. Because of the media coverage of this case, it's been intense, and because Mr. Kohberger plans on providing expert testimony on its damaging effects, Mr. Kohberger will require additional time and will not be prepared for such a hearing on May 22nd. I mean, obviously, they're wanting to do everything they can do to push that back. I mean, Ann Taylor, the public defender for Bryan Kohberger, it's as clear as day. Obviously, he's wanting to do everything he can do to push back the non-dissemination order from being set for trial in the event that it could be overturned, because it's likely going to be incredibly damaging for him. And so, of course, he's going to say things like, listen, the media is coming in a lawsuit against us. That lawsuit is saying that the non-dissemination order needs to be lifted. If that non-dissemination order is lifted, this is what they're not saying, but they're implying, for people like me who are reading it, obviously there's a lot of secrets about this case that will have a little bit more freedom to get out. When that information gets out, it's going to be really damaging to Bryan Kohberger. And so instead of just saying that, they're saying, listen, we're going to have an expert witness, and we actually need more time to prepare. So we're not going to be ready by May 22nd. And essentially all they're doing is trying to move the ball down the field so that non-dissemination order doesn't have a likelihood of being overturned quicker. Hey, Patty Davila, thank you so much for that super sticker. Ozzy girl, you said God loves a cheerful giver. Thank you so much. That is a Bible verse. A Bible verse. Hazeling TikToks, thank you so much for that super sticker. Appreciate your support. Oh, it's on your birthday, Mickey, the 22nd. Wow. I hate that the fair and speedy trial of our justice system is actually the wheels of the justice system turning slow, like super slow motion. I feel like we have some of the slowest wheels, personally. Let me see what people are saying on this. Bryan knows he's guilty deep down inside. Then he doesn't need or have the right to fight crap. Jennifer Koffendorfer responds with that, saying, well, he has constitutional right and a big team. They will fight to set him free. Smoke and mirrors, that's all they got. It kind of feels like smoke and mirrors for sure. I think a gag order is justified. Do you guys think there should be a gag order or not? Curious. I think it probably protects the purity of the case. So for that reason, I say yes to the gag order. I think it should remain in place. As a YouTuber, if I had chose my personal preference, I would say I don't like the gag order. So if I'm speaking from one perspective that says I think there should be a protection of the purity of the case so that justice is served in a way that benefits the family more, I think the gag order or I hate saying the word gag order. I hate even, for whatever reason saying that, but because it's technically called a non-dissemination order, and I prefer to use that type of language when I'm talking about it. But anyways, gag order. I think that gag order actually is positive to help protect the purity of the case. But also, I think we can sort of revert back to looking at some of the family. And so what is the family saying? And if the family's in a situation where they want the gag order to be lifted, then I sort of refer to that. So, all right, I want to talk about the new attorney that's been added, Elisa Massoff, all about the new high-profile defense attorney that's hired in Bryan Kohberger's case. Massoff has a reputation for defending clients with serious felony charges against them. So it's what she does. Apparently, she's good at it. Okay, let's read through the article. Bryan Kohberger is currently under trial for allegedly stabbing 4 University of Idaho students. As reported by Newsweek, Elisa Massoff is a notable defense attorney in Idaho with the qualifications to represent suspects facing the death penalty. She will join public defender Ann Taylor in providing primary legal counsel for Kohberger. Here's a tweet. I just received confirmation from Bryan Kohberger's attorney, Ann Taylor, that in fact, Elisa Massoff is now on the Kohberger defense team as co-counsel. So, that's actually happened since February 17th, but we're just now seeing it take place. Elisa Massoff is the former president of the Idaho Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers. According to her website, Elisa Massoff is a lawyer with a reputation for defending clients charged with federal crimes and state felonies. A graduate of the University of Idaho, which is the same university which Kohberger's victims were from. And Taylor brings Massoff as co-counsel. She describes herself as fearless, persistent, advocacy with compassion, and winning strategy. Elisa Massoff began her career as a clerk for the Idaho District Judges, including Joel Horton and Michael McLaughlin, before practicing business and real estate-related law at the firm Moffitt Thomas Barrett Rock and Fields. In the city of Boise, she gained recognition as a prosecutor and was eventually appointed senior staff attorney. Here's a tweet from Sleuthy Goosey, one of our most favorite friends. And Taylor officially has co counsel. When was this document filed? May 9th. Come now, Elisa Mathos of the firm, Elisa Mathos LLC, files this notice of appearance May 8th. After becoming a distinguished figure within the world of Idaho law, Massoth was appointed to several high profile positions. She's a criminal justice panel representative and a member of the IACDL Legislative Committee, as well as former president of the Criminal Defense Lawyers. She's founded the firms Ketlinski, Massoth, Riboltz, and Sopper, and Massoth and Burroughs. As reported by the National Registry of Exonerations, Massoth is known for one case in which she overturned the conviction of a man suspected of kidnapping and attempted murder. She convinced the court that a witness had misidentified the accused. The case was shown on the television show America's Most Wanted. Wow. The other attorney serving as Kohberger's prime legal counsel is Ann Taylor. For anyone questioning the qualifications of Elisa Massoth, the newest Kohberger attorney, do you really think Ann Taylor would take a risk with an unqualified attorney? She seems pretty qualified to me. Elisa's can I click on that? Half those words are cut off. According to the New York Post, Taylor had previously served as a lawyer for Kara Northington, who's the mother of Idaho massacre victim Xana Kernodle. On January 5th, after she accepted the Kohberger's case, Taylor withdrew from Northington's unrelated drug case. Northington responded, "I'm heartbroken because I trusted her." Taylor pretended that she was wanting to help me and to find out that she's representing him. I can't even convey how betrayed I feel. Wow. You guys think she's going to be a good attorney? Let me know your thoughts. I mean, I understand why Ann Taylor went for her to be the co-counsel, because she's essentially saying, like, listen, she's got somebody exonerated that was serving life before because she was able to tear apart a witness. I think the defense is thinking one of the biggest points that the prosecution is going to be able to make is that there's an eyewitness in the form of Dylan. And if they can have an attorney on their side that's good at picking apart eyewitness accounts, maybe they'll pick apart Dylan's eyewitness account. So that's sort of what I think is going on. Here's another story that's just talking about the one that she got out of jail. A new attorney appointed to Bryan Kohberger's defense team got a man serving life sentence. Elisa Massoth has been appointed. One of her previous clients, John Werderman, was convicted on several charges in 2022, which included conspiracy to commit robbery, conspiracy to commit first-degree kidnapping, and aiding and abetting attempted first-degree murder. Werderman was sentenced to 4 consecutive life sentences in prison. However, Massoth was appointed as his attorney in 2015, and she eventually helped get him out of jail after a judge dismissed charges against him. The announcement of a new attorney for Kohberger comes ahead the preliminary trial hearing for the Idaho murder case, which is scheduled to begin in June. Kohberger, 28, was arrested on December 30th and charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of felony burglary. His arrest came just over a month after the University of Idaho students were found fatally stabbed in their home near the school. Kohberger was a graduate student at Washington State University when the 4 victims were killed. The murder suspect has not yet entered a plea. Jennifer Coffendorfer, we know who she is, great person. She said Kohberger's defense is going to do everything in their power to help get the charges dismissed so that he'll be found not guilty. I'm not surprised an additional counsel would be appointed. I'm not surprised that the prosecution has brought in additional counsel. The playing field needs to be fair and they need to have equal resources. I agree, guys. Like, at the end of the day, our justice system should be built in such a way where the defense, even if it is publicly funded, should have the same amount of manpower as the prosecution does. If you think about it, people don't like this and they get upset often because they think that Bryan Kohberger is guilty. I agree. I think Bryan Kohberger is guilty. Where I differ is that regardless of the person that's in that position, they could be innocent or they could be guilty, or we could just have no clue, one leaning one way or the other. We want the absolute best for them because we want our justice system to withstand scrutiny of a tough prosecution. And we also want people that are given public defense not to be given second rate or second tier defense. That's the way I think. I think there's qualifications that you have to meet in order to have that. And he fit the qualifications, as do many others that are even innocent. And they should resource it appropriately. We want this case to go through the scrutiny because justice for this family looks like somebody getting a guilty verdict, and a guilty verdict sticks. If it's a weak defense, then it could just go on and on and on and on and on in appeals and problems here, problems there. But a really sturdy case, that's actually better. It's actually a better thing in my mind. Hey, Southern Sass 51. Really appreciate that super sticker. That's the first one in a while. I really appreciate that. It means a lot. That takes us to 5 on our super sticker train. We're actually going after 17, which means we need about 12 more today to reach our goal. I'm wondering if there's 12 more of you guys that want to hop aboard our super sticker train today and help us out. And you can also support, if you're interested, through PayPal, which is Tyler Feller, CashApp, which is $ Tyler Feller 22, or Venmo, which is at Tyler-Feller. If you give like CashApp or Venmo or something like that, put it in the comment section. That way we see it. We just want to take a second to honor people who are able to support. Coffendorfer noted that the facts are on the side of the prosecution. The defense can have as much counsel as they want, and certainly they're going to be wanting to look at technical errors. They're going to be looking at the errors regarding the lab work. But at the end of the day, when you peel back the layers, when looking at technical fallacies, what are the facts? What it's going to boil down to, what are the facts, and your ability to share those facts. The defense wants to win, and at the end of the day, the defense wants him released. They want him to walk out of the court a free man. And the prosecution, that's the last thing they want, because they feel if that would happen, that a murder of 4 potential serial killer, because he is being investigated for 2 other murders in Pennsylvania right now, the stakes are extremely high. It does beg the question if you guys think Bryan Kohberger is guilty of murder in other places. Hey, Bianca, thank you so much for that super sticker. Really appreciate that. What a major blessing. Blessings through the ceiling. That's the way I think about it. You want to watch an episode of Nancy Grace?
Bombshell in the last hours. According to reports, police find what they believe is blood on multiple items inside Bryan Kohberger's Pullman apartment. Now, here's the kicker. The apartment looks like someone professionally cleaned it out, wiped it down clean before cops could get in there. But blood doesn't lie. This, as a secret storage locker emerges. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. Thank you for being with us here at Fox Nation and Sirius XM 111. Bryan Kohberger, the prime suspect in the murders of 4 beautiful Idaho University students. We are learning more and more about evidence police have amassed. Is it the student's blood in his apartment? Even when he cleaned that apartment meticulously, wiping it down, telltale blood drops remain behind. What do we learn? Again, thank you for being with us.
Do you guys think that those blood spots are going to turn out to be Bryan Kohberger's own personal blood? Or do you think it's going to be the blood of one of the victims? If it's the blood of one of the victims, it's like, not going to be good. Hey, Eliza, thank you so much for that super sticker. Really appreciate that. That takes us to 7 on our super sticker train, going for 17. 7 out of 17. Only 10 more.
First of all, take a listen to our cut.
On the night of December 30th,
Police department, search warrant, come to the door.
police searched Bryan Kohberger's apartment in Pullman, Washington. Only hours earlier, Kohberger had been arrested across the country in the Poconos. According to documents, police found 60 reddish-brown stains, 2 of which, on a pillow and a mattress, tested positive for blood. Even if the blood does not belong to the 4 college students killed in Idaho, it could be useful to the prosecution.
If it's the defendant's blood, was it a result of the victims struggling with him?
You were hearing
That's interesting. So they're saying, like, listen, even if it's Bryan Kohberger's own blood, it's potentially going to be a problem. I didn't even think about that. Or is it possible to take a sample of blood, say from a pillowcase or something like that, and then be able to tell the day that the blood was there? We have crazy technology in our world. Like, we have the most insane pieces of technology in the world. Are you able to take a piece of blood and determine the origin date of that said blood? I'm going to Google it. Forensics. Determining the exact day when bloodstains were left on a pillowcase or any other fabric can be challenging. Forensic scientists do not have a precise way to determine the exact date that a bloodstain could be deposited. They can estimate a range of time based on the state of the blood, such as whether it's wet or dry, and other environmental factors like temperature, humidity, exposure to sunlight, which can affect the rate at which blood dries and then degrades. However, these factors only provide an estimation of age, and it's usually in terms of hours or days, not specific dates. DNA analysis can confirm the identity of the person from whom the blood originated, but not the time that the blood was deposited. Similarly, chemical analysis can provide information about the blood's composition, but not its age. However, technological advancements occur every day, and it's possible that new techniques for dating biological samples could be developed. So that's what I found on that. Sure did. Hey, Smitty's son and Amy Heights, appreciate your support. Jess R, appreciate your support. It's good to see you, Jess R. Hope you're doing well. That takes us to 10 on our super sticker train, going for 17. We only need 7 more this hour. I wonder if there's 7 more of you guys that could hop aboard our super sticker train in about the next 7 minutes. Who has that much blood around your house? I mean, I can't think of any blood I have in my house, but I also wouldn't be surprised if there is some. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know. It's the thing is, he was living in a 2-bedroom apartment, but one of the the way it was like campus housing. So one of the apartment bedrooms was completely locked and he didn't have access to it. So essentially he's living in a 1-bedroom apartment. There's no shower curtain in the bathroom, which is kind of weird in my opinion. Like, did he ever have one? Was he not planning on coming back, so he took it with him? Was there blood that he had to wash off of himself on the previous shower curtain, so he had to get rid of it at some point? Like, there's all these questions I have. So, and they said it was sparsely populated. So did he have just a single chair in the living room of this house? Did he even have a chair in the living room of the house? I don't know. The part of the video where they're searching his apartment in Pennsylvania is totally redacted. We can't even see.
Defense Attorney John Waldron speaking to our friends at WFMZ and more. Here's Crime Online.
50 items from Bryan Kohberger's apartment were tested by police. 2 of those items, a mattress cover and a pillow, tested positive for blood in the presumptive chemical tests. There was a dark red spot on the kitchen counter near the sink, which could not be tested but was collected according to documents. To whom the blood belongs is not yet known. Not all of the tested items were seized by police. The other 48 tested items, including stains on towels, swabs of bathroom sinks and the shower drain, a microwave and pizza cutter, tested negative. More than a dozen items were seized, however, including the 2 bedding items and the discoloration from the countertop.
Why couldn't some of the blood be tested? To whom does it belong? And this against the backdrop of police believing the apartment was wiped clean. Take a listen to our friends WFMZ.
Other than the stains, police found barely anything in the apartment. Even the trash cans were empty. Waldron says even the lack of evidence left behind could be incriminating.
It could be argued by a prosecutor that he fled Washington. In essence, he had a consciousness of guilt.
With me, an all-star panel to make sense of what we know right now. But first, I want to go out to Laura Ingalls, senior investigative correspondent for Fox.
Laura Ingalls Wilder? Is that who she's talking about? Or just plain old Laura Ingalls? Hey, Joan Slay, you said, hi, everyone. Tyler, I'm so sorry for your loss. Thank you. Send an update. It's miraculous, but don't want to get off topic. Gotta go. Love you all. Thank you for the prayers. Praying for you guys. Joan sent a great update for those of you that are following the story of her daughter, Christine. She's able to talk and even have memory recall and interact in a very positive way. And we'll certainly give a more complete full update tomorrow on our Faith Friday service, which is at 7:30 p.m. Central Time Zone. Hey, Patty Davila, thank you so much for that super sticker. Appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Frenchie, if I remember correctly, they took a pizza cutter, but I don't think that they tested a pizza cutter. I think they took it, they didn't test it. So, oh, Betsy, thank you so much for that Cash App. Sent $4 on Cash App. You said, I watch you a lot, but you can't do a membership, but you want to support. Well, thank you so much, Betsy. I appreciate that. Cash App. I love when people send Cash Apps as a way to support. I write every single one of them down. So I just got done writing that down. Thank you, thank you, thank you for that support. It takes us to 12 on our super sticker train. Going after 17. That's just 5 away. Easy. 5 away. I believe in us tonight to get our train goal before the hour's up.
Fox News Channel joining us, and you can hear her whenever you want to on a brand new hit series, Fox True Crime Minute. It's everywhere you get podcasts. Laura, thank you for being with us, and congratulations on your new hit True Crime Minute. Tell me about the blood that we think it's blood found at Kohberger's Pullman apartment. Now, this is the apartment that's about 10 minutes away from where the students were murdered, many people believe, in their sleep.
Well, and you said it there too, Nancy. That's what we're waiting to find out, that these tests were run. We know that some of these items had blood. It's confirmed to be a blood-like substance, but we don't know whose blood. That is going to be so important and most likely going to hopefully be revealed at this preliminary hearing, if we can get there in late June. But the number of tests that will run on the items found in his apartment Some did come back positive for blood stains. This is according to the court documents that were just released by Washington State University Police. They have not released who they belong to, though. The stain on the mattress cover, a stain on a pillow inside the apartment testing positive for blood. But those other items that we've been so curious about, the sink, the shower drain, a curtain rod, the entry to a door and stains under a coffee table and near a computer pad, they tested all of that, but they did not turn up any.
So I was wrong about the pizza cutter. I just saw on this list it tested negative. My guess is that if they tested the pizza cutter, it's because it has red on it and they think red could be blood. So just out of an abundance of caution, they decided to test it. They also had a huge list of things that they chose not to test. In my opinion, if they're whatever they're taking, if they're taking everything, they need to be testing it. Joan Slay says tomorrow might be the first Friday that I gotta miss. Aw, you said have fun, guys. Super sticker train. Yay. Bye-bye. Thanks, Joan. You're so awesome. Appreciate your support.
Traces of blood. I think that there was hope that there was going to be some kind of DNA evidence, some kind of traceable evidence, but there was not.
To Cheryl McCollum joining me, forensics expert, Cold Case Investigative Research Institute founder and director. You can find her at coldcasecrimes.org. And she's a star of a new podcast, Zone 7, which is awesome. Cheryl McCollum, give me the bottom line on this.
They threw luminol over that place. They used a light source. They probably used, chemical testing. They were looking for the smallest amount of evidence you can think of. So when you look at this scene and they tested over 50 things, if 2 came back as human blood, then you're going to concentrate now on those 2. When we learn whose DNA those 2, small pieces of evidence belong to, I think that, again, is what is going to connect him to the original murder scene.
As if there's not enough. But that said, Cheryl McCollum, I love when a defendant does this massive cleanup. And I've always noticed how when people go missing or are murdered, suddenly the defendant turns into a neatnik. He's just got to run out to Walmart or Target or wherever and buy $300 or $400 worth of cleaning supplies. And they're always caught on camera. And then they come home and they just start spring cleaning, in the middle of a snowstorm. Now, what is interesting here, well, so much is interesting as Laura Ingle lays it out, but the fact that the backdrop is the whole apartment looks like it's been wiped down.
Looks like it's been wiped down and the shower curtain is missing. So again, if you're trying to take some bloody items out of the house, that would be a good way to do it because something is not going to seep through the shower curtain.
Joining me, in addition to Laura Ingle and Cheryl McCollum, Toby Wolson is joining us, forensic consultant specializing in serology, DNA, and bloodstain patterns. You can find Toby at noslowforensic.com. Toby, thank you for being with us. No matter how hard you try, you just really can't get rid of all the blood evidence. To the naked eye, you can't see it. Now, clearly, you've got a criminal procedure major living in the apartment. He knows how to wipe down surfaces. He knows all about squirting 409 and so forth. But unless you are using luminol,
do you think Bryan Kohberger did? He was consciously thinking of the trail of blood that was following, if he's guilty, trail of blood that was following him everywhere he would have went, and was luminoling and cleaning up the blood and making it untraceable. Couldn't get it out of the shower curtain, so got rid of the shower curtain. Hey, C Trims, thank you so much for that super sticker. Really appreciate your support. That takes us to 15 on our super sticker train. We're only 2 away. Amy Martin, thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate your support. We're only 2 super stickers away. By the way, guys, today Mickey is in the lead for the top super sticker, which is 20 buckaroonies. Thank you, Mickey, for your support. I wonder if she'll remain the top super sticker of the day or if somebody will surpass her. Nitsa says you can't shower without a curtain. People as OCD as Bryan would have replaced it right away. I think a lot of people who don't even take showers, first off. So they just take a bath. And second off, I've been in plenty of countries around the world that don't have shower curtains, and they do fine. So it's possible. It's just not like preferred, right? Mickey said, I would be so happy if someone surpasses my sticker. I agree. I would be too. He sure left a lot of electronics behind for someone whom everyone assumes was not. He wasn't planning to come back. It's not. We're not assuming he's planning to come back. He wasn't planning to come back, and we don't know who was the actual owner of that computer that was left. There's one computer left in Washington. They called it a fancy computer. For all we know, it belonged to Washington State University. It wasn't his personal computer to begin with. All the computers that were found, there were not electronics left behind. They were electronics that they found in his house in Pennsylvania, which means they weren't left behind. It means he brought them with him. So he didn't leave electronics behind. He left one fancy, in their words, computer behind. And that computer, for all we know, belonged to Washington State University. Hey, Cheswick. Woo! Add you to the super sticker train. Sure will. You're number 16 on that train. There's one seat available. You said, woo, woo, woo. You said, thank you, Tyler, for everything you do, and I hope to be a part of Faith Friday. Hey, tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. Central Time Zone. We have a lot to talk about, and I want you there. So please make plans to come. Thank you for your super chat. Wonder who the lucky last person on the seat of the super sticker train is going to be. Dana said he could have wiped the electronics or even replaced his with some random thrift shop crap. People drop computers at the dump all the time, even. Or he could have just totally swept the motherboard. And it's like he actually, I think, has a little bit of an expertise in that kind of thing. So
Cheryl McCollum just suggested you can't see it all.
That's correct. Luminol has an extreme sensitivity depending on which articles you read. It's 1 part per million is some of the highest sensitivities for it. The thing about cleanups is that you leave behind trace amounts, and luminol sensitivity will detect those trace amounts. But luminol is also hampered by its cross reactivity with a lot of the agents that are in cleaning products. So what happens frequently when you're looking for a cleanup is rather than seeing the blood, you see all the swirls and everything from them cleaning up, and the damage that's been done by mixing the blood with the cleaning products. But it is a very good search reagent if you're comfortable with it and have experience with using it.
Back to you, Cheryl McCollum, again, knowing that the apartment was wiped down seemingly by a pro. You just imagine Kohberger, he's been studying criminal procedure, criminals themselves, criminal law. He's getting his PhD in the study of crime. Don't you know he tried to wipe down every surface he could?
Right.
She makes an interesting point that people don't talk about often. Not only is he going towards a PhD in criminal justice or criminology, he was the teacher's assistant for criminal law. So think about that, guys. He was the teacher's assistant for criminal law. That's significant. My OCD comments? What did I ever say about OCD? I'm a pretty sensitive guy. I don't talk bad about people with OCD. I didn't say anything about OCD. Hey, Janice, thank you so much for that super sticker. You helped us reach our goal today. Thank you so much, Janice. I hope you're doing well. It's really good to see you. And I like that super sticker that you sent.
With that, some other mistakes could be made. For example, a missing shower curtain that's going to be a red flag to anybody that would walk into that bathroom. If there's not a floor mat, if there's towels that look like they're missing, if he, bought a set, if there's sheets missing, if there's a pillowcase missing, because one of the stains it said was on a pillow that didn't have a pillowcase on it. Well, I want to know where the pillowcase is. So again, he might have noticed the pillowcase had a stain, but he missed the pillow.
I like that Southern accent. The pillowcase. My notice that pillowcase is missing. What up, Amy Heights? Ooh, ooh. Thank you for hopping aboard that super sticker train.
Mark Tate joining us, a high-profile lawyer out of the Savannah jurisdiction who shot to national fame during the, the Alex Murdaugh trial. You can find him at thetatelawgroup.com. Mark Tate, don't you just hate it when your client goes home to his parents' house for Thanksgiving, Christmas break, and he just has to take his own shower curtain with him?
Well, it was always difficult for me.
It's not like Prince Charles that takes his own commode everywhere. Okay.
No, I understand. It is difficult. And I know it was always difficult for me personally when I had to
call it something else. I call it probative. You want to tell me?
Who's the king now? Is it the King of England? He's not Prince Charles anymore, right? He's King. Is it King Charles? Pillowcase.
I mean, one juror is going to identify with taking your own shower curtain home to mom and daddy.
There is no way. No, this guy is in really bad trouble, and he has a public defender. I think she's got a fiduciary duty to her client to do the best she can. But this is really difficult. The things that are adding up that the prosecution has. This is just another arrow in the quiver that makes it so. I think the real question is whether there's a death penalty case that is going to be brought, because I'm not seeing any light of day, and that's the thing I really like to do, Nancy. That is I like to find some kind of crack, some light of day through something that I can say, maybe we can talk about this and defend what's going on here.
Why are you talking about that? That's not what I asked you, Tate.
What are you
I asked you, why would anybody take the shower curtain when they go home for Thanksgiving break?
Oh, because they're guilty and they want to get rid of a friggin' shower curtain. And
exactly. Exactly. And, that leads me to, and I'm sure by the time I come back to you, you're going to come up with a theory. But I guess you're going to say, okay, I might as well put it out there. Oh, it had mold on it. I had to get rid of it. There's no way to clean that. To Dr. Jeff Kalashevsky joining us, forensic psychologist, author of Dark Sides.
I doubt his name's pronounced Kalashevsky. But good effort by Nancy Grace. She might be right. Hey, Allison, thank you for that super sticker. Really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. King Charles. That's what I thought. She said Prince Charles carries his own commode with him everywhere he goes. I don't know how that makes sense. And he's not even a prince. He's a king. And if you're the king, you're the king. You can do whatever the heck you want. You're the king.
Dr. Jeff Kalashevsky, you can clean your apartment all you want to. And Laura Ingle, don't be shy, for Pete's sake. Jump in when you've got some tidbits of facts for me. Dr. Kalashevsky, you can clean your apartment all you want to. But in my mind, this guy is so anal. In fact, in a few moments, I'm going to play sound of Kohberger getting pulled over for edging into a crosswalk where people are crossing. And he actually has the cop. And tell me if I got this wrong, Laura Ingle. Go look up the law. And you can hear him saying, well, from where I come from, this is not a crime. And I don't believe this is a crime. And actually asking the lady cop to go get the law to show him that that was a crime.
Listen, and this gives us another sliver of information about Bryan Kohberger himself, right? What he sounds like in this body cam footage, how he behaves while under pressure or dealing with somebody of authority. Now, we've been hearing from people who know him in the weeks and months after the quadruple murders. They described him as someone who was constantly always showing people that he thought he was smarter than them. He was somehow more intellectually
superior. You hear that, Tate? Now, you hear that, Tate? People don't like that. Okay, go ahead.
Like what? Shower curtain?
I know it all. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we heard that from every.
How many people think Nancy Grace is a know-it-all? Raise your hand. I'm scratching my head if she happens to see this. How many people think she acts like a little bit like a know-it-all? Like, oh yeah, I agree, Mickey. You said I think she acts the way she does to get views. She's good at it. I mean, she works hard to get views, in my opinion, and she's good at it. I think she actually does a great job sharing information on cases. I don't always appreciate her. I don't always like the way she says what she says, but you know, it is what it is. Hey, by the way, guys, we're rolling into our second hour of the show, which means it's our second and our final super sticker train of the day. I'd love it if you guys could hop aboard and help us out. We're going to go after 18 super stickers this hour. It would be amazing if you can support. Another thing that you guys can do to support is through PayPal, which is Tyler Feller. Cash App may be the best way to give because there's no fees at all attached to it. It's $ Tyler Feller 22 or Venmo, which is at Tyler-Feller. But we're going to go after 18 on the super sticker train this hour.
Everybody. Now, I went to Pennsylvania. I was outside of that jail where he was held. The moment that he was arrested, we raced to Pennsylvania. I was there for a good 5 days, and I can tell you from being in, it is a rural area, but I'm sorry, there are crosswalks, and there are street lights, and there are stoplights, and you know we spent some time there. I hung out outside of his parents' gated community. While it is far back in the country, there are crosswalks, and there are normal things that you would associate. So anyway, his argument, as I was listening to him, I listened to it several times, as I'm sure you have too, talking to the officer, talking about the law, wanting to explain it. But the other side too, you can listen to that body cam footage of him getting pulled over. And while on one hand, it sounds like a guy who's, trying to be super smart and trying to talk about the law. And it also sounds like a guy who's trying to get out of a ticket.
Sounds like a world-class a-hole to me, but that's just me. Maybe you guys will interpret this differently. To Dr. Jeff Kalashevsky, I'm sure that's not a proper psychological diagnosis, a world-class a-hole, but I'm just really enjoying, for the moment, let me not for this moment think about the 4 students who were slaughtered. Many people believe in their sleep. Because right now, I want to think about Kohberger and how he is so anal. Remember when he was finally arrested at his parents' house in the Poconos? He was wearing plastic gloves, rubber gloves, to take out the trash. Nothing could have made me happier except the fact that I believe he wiped down his entire apartment, took his shower curtain, got rid of it, but still left behind some blood.
Well, if I can comment, Nancy, I've talked to a lot of people over the years who've meticulously planned crimes and tried to approach planning and pulling off a crime from sort of an academic perspective. And one of the things that usually trips them up is, for example, if they're going to plan a murder, this is the first murder they've been involved with, first murder they've planned, first murder maybe they've done. But law enforcement has had lots of experience with murders. So a lot of times when I've seen people who've taken this real academic approach and studied police technique and investigative techniques, they will miss something, because you can study this kind of stuff all you want, but experience is what's really important. So it doesn't surprise me that he would make mistakes along the way, big mistakes like taking the shower curtain. That's beyond just cleaning your apartment. Big mistakes like take the pillowcase off a pillow with blood, but the pillow stays there. So even with all your academic study and your academic approach to planning and trying to pull off a crime, it won't trump the experience of seasoned investigators who are on crime scenes all the time.
Dr. Jeff
Nancy, I have
Kalashevsky,
to
that
agree.
was incredible what you just said. Hey, Mark Tate, isn't it the truth? Let me jump off what Dr. Jeff Kalashevsky just said.
Do you guys think that the detectives are more seasoned and experienced than the intelligence of Bryan Kohberger if you're comparing the two? Because that's literally what he just did. He compared the two. It's not the easiest thing in the world, guys, to be accepted into a PhD program, in my opinion. It's not. I mean, I don't know. Some people could probably do it. But it's not the easiest thing in the world, which means he has at least a measure of intelligence somewhere along the way. Hey, Patty DeVilla, thank you so much. You are the first on our super sticker train this hour. Going after 18. Appreciate that. Mickey still in the lead today with the biggest super sticker at $20. Wonder if anybody's going to beat her on this train.
I remember going through law school thinking, oh, can I try a case? Will I be awful? Can I pull it off? Blah, blah, blah. I had all my law Xeroxed and ready and every question written out, which I did till the bitter end, by the way. But when you get in there to try a case, it is like nothing they can tell you in moot court. I can tell you that much. Or trial advocacy.
You're exactly right.
It's hand-to-hand mutual combat. And at the end of every day, everybody clear out the courtroom. And I would just sit there thinking, what in the HELL just happened? I'd look at the clock. I'm like, I've been here 7 a.m. and it's 7 p.m. and it's like a big blur.
Yeah, it's amazing. You get that weird time compression. And, the kind of joke among lawyers in trial is there's 3 trials. There's the case that you plan to try, the case that you think you tried, and the case that you actually tried. So, yeah, you're exactly right. All bets are off once you walk into that courtroom and you got 12 jurors and a potentially mercurial judge. You never know what's going to happen. But you're right.
And same thing with crime scenes, Cheryl McCollum. How many have we been on together? You can prep all day long in your classroom, Cheryl McCollum, at the Cold Case Research Institute. But when you get out there, it's like, seriously, like all HELL breaks loose. It's nothing like you can prepare for.
You can't prepare because your classroom is not going to give you wind and rain and cold and heat and activity with animals and even families showing up. So you can practice all you want, and you can
screaming and contamination and
then there's the
crazy.
media.
I think I heard Laura Engel jumping in. Laura, what were you saying?
Well, I was just back to the shower curtain part. I just, as you think about the shower curtain being gone now, he had started school there. He had started attending that past fall. So he probably moved in around August or September. But I just keep going back to the fact that they ran tests on the sink and the shower drain and the curtain rod, and there were no signs of blood on those things. And yes, the shower curtain is missing. I was just making that note that he had just moved in. So I guess.
Okay, so you're saying he moved in and hadn't bought a shower curtain, or that he just only took bubble baths and didn't need a shower curtain?
I don't know. I'm just saying I was just curious. I was just double checking our notes because I was thinking, well,
Laura Engel, you just gave the defense an awesome comeback. Okay, that he hadn't bought a shower curtain yet, or that he only took bubble baths. That was my fault, guys. We were.
That's what I already said. Those are the exact things that I already said.
Hey, Toby Wilson, forensic.
I think I can address the
Jump
shower
in.
curtain issue and stuff.
First of all, who is this?
This is Toby Wilson.
Great.
And
go ahead, dear.
As somebody who's done forensic biology and lots of crime scene work and blood stain pattern analysis, the assumption is in a crime of this nature that the defendant got himself very bloody at the crime scene. That's not necessarily the case. We know from many cases that how bloody the defendant gets is a factor of if the assailant or if the victims fight back or not. It's also a factor of what's being used and the directions the blood is being thrown in. So it's not, I've had cases involving multiple stab wounds and all where the defendant has little or no blood on him. The focus here really on that shower curtain, I think, is not where you want to look. If he was bloody after leaving that crime scene, with which 4 victims he may have been, the more important thing to be looking at is the interior of the Hyundai, because just like in the OJ case where you know, they examined the interior of the Bronco, even though it was excluded from evidence, they found the victim's blood in that car. And the reason being because you don't have a chance to clean up at the crime scene. You're anxious to get out of there and get away from it. So the interior of the Hyundai, I would think, is a more valuable thing to have examined than the apartment itself. The apartment, you know, being that it's an apartment, meaning multiple people could have lived there, and if it had been furnished when he moved in, any blood you find could be totally irrelevant to the case. So I as a forensic biologist and a blood spatter expert would be more interested in what was in that car.
You know, Toby Wilson, I could listen to you talk all day long. I started off disagreeing with you about how there are stabbings where there is no blood, because in this case, Laura and Cheryl jump in and help me out with the facts. It's my understanding it was an incredibly bloody crime scene, but which tells me the killer would have had blood on him. But you are right. There can be stabbings, and the way that they go down, the defendant does not get very bloody. It's amazing, but I've seen it happen. I know that it can happen. So that would not be the alpha and the omega, the be all and the end all of this blood investigation, whether he himself was bloody. But based on this crime scene, isn't it true, Laura Engel and Cheryl McCollum, that we've been told it was really bloody?
We have certainly heard this.
What's interesting is we were told not only is it really bloody, but we told it was the most gruesome crime scene they've ever seen. They're like, we've never seen anything like it. There were early reports, totally unfounded because we don't have access to this level of information, where inward parts of people's bodies on the 3rd floor were exposed. They said it was the most gruesome crime scene that they've ever seen. Now, we know that the most gruesome parts had to have taken place on the 3rd floor because when they found the victims on the 2nd floor, they didn't even realize at first that they were dead, I don't think. They called 911, and they weren't saying that the victim's dead. So, said someone was unconscious. 17 more super chats to go. Hey, there's Debbie Campbell right here. His PhD cannot be compared to years of experience and common sense. Okay, Debbie Campbell. I agree. He doesn't have a PhD yet. He's only 1 semester in. And how many semesters is a PhD program? Probably 8. 3 to 4 years, probably. So, dropping bombs, Debbie Campbell. Jennifer, thank you so much for that super sticker. Takes us to 3 on our super sticker train. We're going after 18. It's only 15 more. Hey, that's not bad. Do you guys think we can get there? Man, I hope so. I also want to shout out all the Feller fan members. Those of you with little flags next to your name, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate your support. Mickey's like, that's too much schooling for me. I've gone to school for my entire life. I don't know. I like it.
Look, the police didn't come out. They haven't really told us much, right? And they said it was a very traumatizing crime scene, obviously, that was observed. But they really haven't given us a lot of detail. Right, Cheryl?
Cheryl, what do you know?
That's right. But here's what I can tell y'all.
Oh boy.
You might say, the defense might say, well, he didn't have time to get a shower curtain. He had just moved in. He had time to buy gloves, a shovel, some goggles, and a black mask. He freaking had time to get a shower curtain. He chose what he bought.
Also, he moved in August. Let's don't forget that. He moved in August. So he would have had August, September, October, and part of November. Unless, again, he let Calgon take him away in a bubble bath. He had a shower curtain. Guys, I've got so many other things to discuss, including the emergence of a secret storage locker. But I really want you to hear Bryan Kohberger talking back to a cop. Now, I, as a felony prosecutor for many, many years, would not talk back to a cop. Absolutely not. Even if I disagreed, forget it. No, you can fight the ticket in court, but not on the street. Reality, I got to hear Kohberger. Now, this is him. Look, I grew up in the middle of nowhere, and I take a lot of pride in that. We didn't even have a red light or stop sign, but I knew enough as a new driver not to pull into a crosswalk where people would be walking. But when he gets pulled over for that, I want you to hear how he talks to the lady cop. Let's go with our cut 405, Jack.
Yeah, I was just slightly into the crosswalk, so you know, where I'm from Pennsylvania, we actually don't have like crosswalks.
Oh,
so even if you're kind of slightly, there's a little bit more leeway as well. Like there are a few lines, like there's one white line and there's another one in front. Like there's like a certain margin from which you can actually kind of put your vehicle, place your vehicle.
Yeah. So I know laws vary state to state, but there is a law in Washington for blocking an intersection like that, proceeding through when you don't, when you're just stalling. I forget the actual verbiage. I can find it for you, but it's like stalling, blocking an intersection.
Yeah, I'm just curious about the law. I don't mean to.
Oh no, yeah, I can find it for you.
Okay, I love this woman. Am I saying her name correctly, Laura Engel? Officer Isabel Luengas?
Sounds right.
So she's like, and then she offers to go get him.
That's
the
amazing.
Law. I mean, Mark Tate. I love her. She's going, thinking, oh, what a jerk. He's actually trying to talk me out of this. Did you hear that?
Yes, his eyes looked crazy to me, and he was doing the thing that you now just said is no reason to speak to the police on the side of the street like that, but he did, and he tried.
Did his eyes look crazy to you guys? Put a 1 in the chat if you think his eyes looked crazy. Put a 2 in the chat if not.
To engage her in some sort of thing that almost sounded like a prank. Oh, I'm from a strange place. I don't know how to work crosswalks.
Yeah, there are no crosswalks in Pennsylvania.
Give me a break.
I lived in Philly. There are plenty of crosswalks in Pennsylvania. But guys, he actually lets he sends the lady cop to go get the law. Take a listen to 406.
I don't see Pennsylvania registration like at all. Okay, let's see. Expires November 22nd or 2022. Okay. And
yeah, one of those is actually.
Yeah. Okay, that looks good. I'll hand that back to you. I'm just gonna go check your info. I'll try to find that RCW, the law for you, and I'll be right back.
Thank you.
All right.
I guess that's going to be the code of Washington, the law. And listen, I can't believe she's still being so cheerful with this guy who's sending her off like she's his secretary to come back with the law. Fetch, go get me the law. Okay, listen to this.
Okay, so I found it. So I don't know what in Pennsylvania where you go to find laws, but in Washington it's called the Revised Code of Washington. So I'll try to turn my brightness up, but it's just called an RCW. So it's RCW 46.61.202. So it's no driver shall enter an intersection unless there is significant space on the other side of the intersection To accommodate the vehicle, he is operating without obstructing the passage of other vehicles, despite any traffic control signal indications to proceed. So you had a green light, so you're thinking you can go, but you're blocking the intersection. Yeah. So.
Okay, I think I need a shrink on this. Dr. Jeff Kalashevsky, forensic psychologist, author of Dark Sides, he actually is challenging the traffic. He's in the middle of the crosswalk. He's trying to tell her, I just nudged in a little bit. That's what I call an admission. Now he's challenging her on the law and trying to talk circles around the traffic officer who's having none of it, and actually goes and has to recite to him the RCW, the Revised Code of Washington.
Yeah, he thinks he's smarter than her and tries to outsmart her, but she outsmarted him when she's quoting the law, and that's when he gave up because he had to accept that he lost. She outsmarted him.
Cheryl McCollum, Cheryl, I'm very surprised that the lady officer didn't use just enough force to effect an arrest. And
do you guys like that officer? It's different. It's so interesting to me how there's so many different people who can watch that same footage and walk away with 6, 7, 8 different opinions of what took place. Half the people in the beginning were like, wow, Bryan Kohberger is actually kind of polite. Like, there was a bunch of people who were saying normal response. And then another half of people were like, wow, he's the most disrespectful person. And I'm like, I can see either way. I could probably make a case either way. And we don't really know him. The thing that I was surprised by was that I thought he was much better in that social interaction than the way that he's been painted to be by not just every news pundit that we've seen, but every single individual that's known him personally that's came out to talk about him. And so I've been in a situation as I've been just sitting back, listening, talking, hearing about Bryan Kohberger. I've been in a situation where I thought he had absolutely zero ability to even carry on a conversation with anybody because that's the way that it was sort of painted to us. And so when he started having a conversation in a way that was coherent, I was totally confused. Debbie Campbell, thank you for gifting that membership. Woo! Wonder who won it. Whoever won it, congratulations. Truth Seeker was the winner of that. The best perk, in my opinion, of our Feller Fan membership is being able to join our private Facebook group. Come on, that is where a lot of the action is at. And so I think that's so cool. If you guys are part of our Feller Fan, we have a little flag next to your name. You should totally join our membership program. By the way, guys, we're also up to 3 super chats on our super sticker train. We're going after 18 this hour. Train's moving really slow. I'm wondering if any of you guys want to hop aboard and help us out.
You know what I mean? Throw him down and handcuff him for his back talk. But wait, listen to 409. One more time. 409.
I'm actually just from a very rural area, so we just don't have crosswalks.
Oh.
Unless I visit an area where there are crosswalks, and then it's not very frequent.
Yeah.
I do apologize if I was asking you too many questions about the law. I wasn't trying to
No, not at all. Like, I understand you're not from here, so if you don't, a lot of people don't know a bunch of laws. Like, I only know it because this is what I do. But yeah, if you're ever curious on any more laws, just RCW, and they can be hard to read because it's in like legal language. But hope that helps.
Definitely.
Yeah. Have a good day.
Definitely, you too.
Thanks.
Don't know the laws. He's getting his PhD in the study of criminal procedure and crime. Okay, help me out, Cheryl McCollum.
Well, as you well know.
And don't forget that he has applied and even at one point had an interview for a position, an internship at that police department. So it's not, it's a lot to think about. Tim Allen, what's your theory of what took place?
Well, ignorance of law is no defense. Plus, what he's trying to do here, in my opinion, is play her. So he thinks I'm going to be able to, Jedi mind trick her and not giving me a ticket. Well, that failed. And what happened as soon as he failed, he started to apologize. So that's what I think we're going to see in court. He thinks he's smart, but now that he's stuck like a rat in a coffee can, you're going to see a different attitude.
What is it? How is a rat getting a coffee can? Stuck like a rat in a coffee can. I'm going to figure out what that means. What does it mean, stuck like a rat in a coffee can? The phrase stuck like a rat in a coffee can is not a common or standardized idiom, so its meaning may depend on the context in which it's used. However, it suggests a situation where someone is trapped or stuck in a challenging or difficult circumstance and unable to find a way out, much like a rat might struggle to escape if it were trapped in a coffee can. This type of phrase is often used to evoke vivid imagery and help listeners understand the feelings of the speaker about a situation. Stuck like a rat in a coffee can. I'd have to explain it, but I think Kopaka may have assisted in some way. He had the training. Yeah, maybe. At this point, there's a lot of questions about that.
Has anybody on this panel ever seen Leave It to Beaver? Anybody?
Yes.
Even in reruns.
Yeah.
I have. I've seen
the
the Nancy. I said yes. I've seen the reruns.
You didn't see it the first time around. Do you remember Eddie Haskell, the sucker that was always going,
Yes.
"Oh, Mrs. Cleaver, I love your pearls," that kind of guy? This is so Eddie Haskell. That's what I have to say all the time to the twins. Don't suck up. It's not working, Eddie Haskell. This is Eddie Haskell sucking up once he realized this is over a ticket. What is he going to do when he gets in trial? I bet he's going to give his lawyer, who's making $200 an hour, by the way, I bet he is going to give her fits. Laura Engel, I want you to now that I've listened to Bryan Kohberger's voice longer than I ever wanted to, I want to talk about this secret storage unit. Guys, take a listen to our cut 397, our friends at KTVB.
We found a padlock round in shape in the living room closet. Based on my training experience, I recognize the padlock to be the shape of locks typically used on storage units.
You're hearing a phone call between Washington State University Assistant Police Chief Don Daniels and a district judge.
All right, please proceed.
I believe the storage unit or closet was likely used by Kohberger to store the items and likely access between the time of the murders and his travel to Pennsylvania, where he was later arrested.
Daniels believes the storage unit could contain DNA evidence, including blood, skin cells, footprints, fingerprints, or hair. Daniels is asking the judge for a search warrant to enter Kohberger's storage unit.
Okay, so Mark Tate joining us, high-profile lawyer out of Savannah with the Tate Law Group. Explain what is happening right there.
Well, it looks like that, they have found a reason. They've got probable cause to conduct another search. And, I think that obviously he hasn't surreptitiously enough hidden his evidence. And I think that what we see is a dogged prosecutor who's going to put a case up against him that doesn't leave any stones unturned. That's what I think is going on.
And guys, take a listen to our cut 398, again, KTVB.
There is probable cause, and the court hereby authorizes you to sign my name, Gary J. Livey, on a search warrant to enter the aforedescribed storage facility.
Because police conducted a presumptive test, these documents do not say definitively if the stains are blood. It just says that they could be. It's unclear if any of the items police reported that day came from the storage unit or if they were all from his apartment.
You know what it sounds like to me, Tate, that the judge or the magistrate is granting a search warrant over the phone or by Zoom, because he says, sure. I authorize you to sign my name, Gary J. Libby. And that is not uncommon. Sometimes you need a search warrant in the middle of the night and you find whatever magistrate is on duty and you call them or go there. But you can call now, especially with Zoom and FaceTime, you can easily get a warrant.
Oh, sure.
This was a call.
What?
It's made officers made it a lot easier for them to get warrants when they need them. And frankly, judges like being involved at an early stage so that there are few errors that keep evidence out later. And so I think that's, if COVID did anything, I think it made it so law enforcement can reach magistrates to get warrants. And I think that's at least one positive thing that we've seen is judges have become, more accessible to law enforcement. So these kinds of things, I think, head off evidentiary admission problems down the line.
And I'm glad they recorded it because I don't want a defense attorney jumping up like you, Tate, there at the end going, oh, there wasn't a warrant. It was an emergency. There were no exigent circumstances. So therefore, you can't use anything you find in the search fruit of the poisonous tree. Bottom line, we learned police search a secret storage locker belonging to suspected quadruple killer Bryan Kohberger that cops believe he accessed after the murders. So Laura Ingle joining me, senior correspondent, Fox News Channel and star of Fox True Crime Minute podcast. Laura, what do we know?
Well, you're right. And that was a phone.
Guys, Amy Heights, our moderator, just texted me and said we're breaking a record for the fewest ever on the super sticker trade. Oh my gosh, that kind of freaks me out. So let's please not stay where we're at on the super sticker trade. I'm like, uh-oh. Harlot says, I wonder if they actually searched that storage unit or just saw it was empty and assumed nothing was there. Lock and key in apartment almost seems like a clue. My personal guess on what happened with the storage unit was like it was totally unused by Bryan Kohberger. They gave it to him. They're like, hey, there's a storage unit if you need it. Gives it to him. He doesn't need it because his apartment's empty as is. That's my thoughts. With a gag order, it's difficult to know facts. So I can't wait till June 26th. Like apparently that date might even be pushed back. Paula said the content is ridiculous tonight. I mean, no disrespect, but you're reaching hard. What? What are you talking about? I'm like, what the heck? That sentence doesn't make any sense, Paula. I'm not reaching hard about anything. We're watching Nancy Grace and we're talking about what she's saying. And before that, I was just reading court documents about his new attorney and about a motion that he's filing against the media because he feels like the media has interrupted the ability to have a fair trial. So I feel like you're reaching really hard on that comment that you just made because literally it doesn't make sense at all. Unless I'm totally in La La World tonight, I really haven't even said much on this stream. So I kind of think your comment's ridiculous in the most respectful way as possible. Because after all, I mean no disrespect, but I do think your comment is ridiculous. No disrespect. Amy Heights, thank you for hopping aboard. Mickey, look, our faithful duo right here of our mods, Amy and Mickey, back to back with those super stickers. Allison, appreciate that. Thank you so much for your support. Amazing. Takes us to 6 on our super sticker train. 12 more to go. Single Truth Seeker said this is the most fair they've ever heard me, although I did an entire stream the other night about if Bryan Kohberger could be innocent. If he wasn't the killer, he'd be out of jail by now. I think they have plenty, but they think he had an accomplice. We've talked in depth about whether or not he possibly had an accomplice. Harlot says some people don't understand discussing things and not just straight pushing info. I feel like I don't necessarily ever just push info on this channel. Certainly there are times where I have an opinion about things and I talk about those opinions of mine. And share that those are my opinions. And I think one of the things that's so special about the channel that I have here is I say pretty much every time when I have an opinion, you don't have to have the same opinion as me, as long as you remain respectful. And the funny thing to me is, despite the fact that I actually say that, there's other channels that actually ridicule people who have different opinions. People say all the time that I don't like other people's opinions, when in fact, that's one of my favorite things about this channel, is that people can have a diverse set of opinions and still be here together. I just don't like when people get personal. And one of the things that's really disruptive in YouTube true crime, in my opinion, is that if you're not careful, if you don't guard the comment section enough, if we don't create guardrails, it becomes really drama. And it's this YouTube channel or this YouTuber fighting with this YouTuber, fighting with this YouTuber, talking bad about this person and that person. And it just becomes one big mess that people are not actually watching because they care about the case. They're watching because they're individuals who care more about the fighting that's going on between YouTubers, and they like the nasty toxicity of the drama attached to it. And to date, almost 2 years into having this YouTube channel, literally, we've never spoken negatively about another YouTube channel, ever. And I can tell you, there's hundreds, it feels like, probably not that many, but it's what it feels like, dozens at least, YouTubers that talk negatively about me all the time. I've never said a negative word about any of them. So I think some people don't like discussing the cases because they like the drama. And then when you allow people to discuss the case, if they make it personal, we put a guardrail up against that. They get mad at me, but I actually like opinions. And they say I don't like opinions. I like opinions. Just don't make it personal. So that's my really quick synopsis of what I think happens in the True Crime YouTube channel. I'd love to know if you guys think that's accurate. Hey, Tam Hurlbrink, thank you for that super sticker. Really good to see you. Loretta, how are you doing? Thank you for that super sticker. Holly Gagliardi, appreciate your support tonight. Thank you so much for that. A Marigold, how are you? Appreciate your support. Amazing, guys. You're pulling us, literally pulling us out of the pit we were in on the super sticker train. We're up to 10. We're going for 18, so we only need 8 more to get there. What's up, Rick the Fabulous? He said, what's up, everybody? What's up to you, man? Hope you're doing well. Hope you had a great day. How was work today? Harlot says, unfortunately, he won't be out by now, even if he wasn't a killer. Justice system is very slow. The wheels of justice need to move a lot faster. And if I had anything to do with it, I would figure out a way to make sure that the promise that we have of a fair and speedy trial actually becomes a fair and speedy trial. But Bryan Kohberger is not trying to get the case to move faster. He's not. He filed a motion today asking for an extension of more time, that they would prolong the hearings that are set now. And so we are actually in a situation where the prosecution's ready to go, it seems like. But Bryan Kohberger is saying, I need an extension on this non-dissemination order because we have expert witnesses that we need to prepare. And not only that, we don't have enough time to prepare that, but we need more time for the preliminary hearing. And so this June 26th date that everybody keeps talking about, it's likely going to be a day that comes past, because I actually think it's going to end up getting pushed back. And the wheels of justice move slow, and attorneys use it as tools to work in their favor. I find it to be unfortunate. You were hit by a car earlier? What the heck? Dear goodness. Rick, I'm sorry about that, man. Praying for you. How are you doing? You said you're in pain. How bad was it? Was it like a short little hit, or what happened? Hey, Marigold, by the way, thank you so much for gifting that membership. Wow. What a blessing. 5 new members tonight. Awesome job, guys. You tried out Bard, an AI tool from Google. It said that Bryan Kohberger had been arrested in Pennsylvania and had the same kind of knife that was used in the murders. How would it know that? Is that true? Google Bard. All right. Well, I'll bring up Bard when we're done with this Nancy Grace episode. Tim Allen says, I love seeing the new people hop aboard the train. Me too. I love it. If If it's your first time ever giving on the super sticker train, man, that's a blessing. Also, if you guys give via Cash App or Venmo, let us know, because sometimes we don't see those, and I want to make sure that we honor you.
Phone call. It was recorded on December 30th, and that voice you hear, as you identified, Assistant Chief Don Daniels of the WSU Pullman Police Department. So they noticed that there is this round lock. Now, I don't know how many people here on our panel and listening who have had an apartment. I've had many. And when you get an apartment, if it's a small one like this, you usually will get, I've always had a little tiny closet, some kind of a little storage unit where you could put, your chairs or whatever. It's usually pretty small. The one thing that's interesting about what Daniels wrote in her report about what she found or didn't find in the storage closet. Now, did he store things in there? Did he remove them before he took off and went home for the holidays? She did write in her report there were cobwebs going into the storage closet and the floor was dusty. And she wrote, it did not appear the closet had been used recently and nothing was seized or collected from the closet because there was nothing in it. Now, if he had something in there, I'm just noting what's in the report. We just don't.
Maybe that's where he hid his shower curtain, Laura.
It could be where the shower curtain was. That's right.
Hey, Nancy, it literally could be that he put the shower curtain down and when he pulled up, that's where he went in and he got clothes that he changed into and put everything else on the shower curtain and discarded it. That could absolutely be
like a hobo. You know how you've seen the pictures of them putting everything in a big
hobo
piece of material, putting it on their back, gathering everything he wanted to get rid of in the shower curtain and getting rid of it all. We also are getting somewhat of an idea where the defense is heading in this case. Take a listen to our cut 410 from our friends at crimeonline.com.
Bryan Kohberger's public defender claims evidence that could prove Kohberger's innocence has not been turned over to the defense. Ann Taylor has filed a motion to compel discovery. Among the evidence requested, footage from Kohberger's arrest, notes from his interrogations, and details about how police tested DNA found at the scene of the University of Idaho murders. The defense team is asking the judge to compel prosecutors to comply. Many of these items were included in the first request for discovery filed back in February. A second request was filed on March 24th. There is a total of 7 items requested. Again, the body and dash cam footage from Kohberger's arrest, copies of lab reports detailing the forensic evidence collection and analysis of items recovered at Kohberger's home as well as his parents' home, trash cans and other receptacles, Kohberger's Hyundai Elantra, all lab testing, all recordings and notes from Kohberger's interrogation, and training records for multiple officers. Their names have been redacted from the filing. A redacted event is listed, requesting all reports, notes, recordings, and photos from that event. Attorneys say this contains exculpatory evidence. The judge has yet to respond to the motion. The defense team is requesting a 10-minute hearing on the issue before the late June preliminary hearing.
Okay, that sounds overwhelming, but this is what they did. There are forms that you pull up online, and they're discovery forms, and they list everything but the kitchen sink, plus the kitchen sink, that could possibly be requested on any discovery motion by the defense. So that's what you've got right here. And then they threw in some specific things. Lauren Engel joining us from Fox News. The reality is the defense is claiming the state is hiding evidence. That's what they're claiming.
Well, they want to get their hands on everything. And the other part of this, when we're talking about that search of the storage locker and of the apartment of Bryan Kohberger's office at WSU, where he had just completed his first semester, they found that everything was empty. And did you also read about this letter that had happened in September? He was kind of in trouble leading up to everything that occurred in October, November. In September, there's a letter here that said that this is a letter directed to Bryan Kohberger, that he had an altercation with the faculty with a professor, John Snyder, and saying that they had some kind of back and forth, that he had failed to meet his expectations as a TA.
That
And
is
as
right.
a result, on November 2nd, the graduate director met with him to discuss an.
I think he was leaving the university because he wasn't cutting it as a TA. And I think what people don't understand how difficult it is to move. I've moved states a couple times in my life, and when you move, you're leaving a group of people that you're friends with, that you've invested your life with. I had a friend like in Illinois where I was living. We ate lunch together almost every day for 5 years. Like he'd go on lunch break from work. I'd go on lunch break from the church that I was working at, and we'd go eat lunch together literally almost every day for like 5 years, 5.5 years. And like when you move, these just like normal daily interactions that you have with some of your best friends leave and end, not to mention the routine that you're used to being in. And there's a grieving that takes place. I think Bryan Kohberger had this pattern of behavior that he was used to probably with his parents. He leaves them. There's a type of grieving that takes place. And then on top of that, he goes to Washington State University. He's not doing well as a TA. He's only known one university, which is DeSales University. It's where he got his bachelor's degree from. It's where he's got his master's degree from. I've gotten multiple degrees from different universities, and every university has a different culture, has a different way of doing things. And so he's probably not good at change. And so he's gone from being in this one university to Washington State University. He's not doing well adjusting to the new change. He's getting pulled over in Moscow, Idaho. He's getting pulled over in Pullman. He's not doing well on just adjusting to life in that part of the country. We don't have crosswalks, whatever he said there. And so then we look at him as a TA. He's not doing well as a TA. He was the star student at DeSales University. Now he's not doing well. I can see how there's all of these elements that are stacked against him that's causing him to need a big release somehow. He's not doing well on basically every front. He's not doing well with John Snyder, who was the professor that he was under, not doing well as a student, as a PhD student. He's not doing well adjusting to life. He's getting pulled over all the time. He's not doing well because he's not able to have the normal relationships in Pennsylvania that he's used to. And so I think part of the motive when you talk about it is there was like this spiraling that started to take place. And we already know from the data, he's kind of been stalking this house, 1122 King Road. And so is like a snake, like curling up, ready to pounce, when that moment of frustration hits him. It leaves from him being like a fantasy, and it converts into a reality of escapism for him, I think. And I think he was probably jovial after this kind of thing took place. Hey, Irene Cuboto, thank you so much for that super sticker. Really appreciate that. Hey, Rebecca Heck, hope you're doing well. You said that letter thought to be fake, a creator claiming to be psychic, is one whom produced it initially. Also in U.S., you can't be termed for an argument. HR would be sued for letting that letter out if true. I see. Well, that makes perfect sense, Rebecca. By the way, Amy Heights says, thank you, Rebecca Heck. Love you. And Mickey says hi to you. So lots of fans. Rebecca Heck is one of our moderators on our Facebook page. And she does a great job. Every time somebody has a birthday, she wishes them a happy birthday. And then you just see a flood of the rest of the Feller fam celebrating birthdays together. It's one part of the community that we're building, and I love it so much. I really love it so much.
Improvement plan of his behavior and performance. And then there were further conflicts with Kohberger. I'm just bringing that up just as
there were a lot of conflicts. Cheryl McCollum, many of the conflicts Kohberger had as a TA teaching assistant which was his duties as he was getting his PhD at WSU, Washington State University, were centered around women. He would grade them more harshly, talk down to them. These are their allegations. I'm not guessing or hypothesizing. This is what they say, that they were singled out and criticized, over criticized compared to their male counterparts.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Even in his social circle, they say that he would have, these bursts of anger, and he would sometimes be extremely rude. That should, shock no one on this panel, much less your audience. He is, I think, so just, you can pinpoint exactly what his behaviors were like, exactly what his thought processes were. He was not good at hiding anything, not his attitude and not murder.
And don't you know he was ill when that lady traffic officer pulled him over and then almost immediately produced the relevant law? She pulled it up
Well, let
for
me
him
just say
on her
this.
cell phone.
Let me say this to you, my friend. I read where the corrections officers say he doesn't do anything but watch TV and watches every single thing about him. I know he can't stand you because, again, you're smart, you're capable, and you are calling his number out every day.
Every day. Hey, Toby Wilson joining me, forensic consultant at noslowforensic.com. Toby, can you ever really and truly clean a bloody crime scene?
My experience over the years has been no. I've been called into a lot of situations to search for blood after they suspect or can demonstrate that there was a cleanup. And there's always stuff missed. It's either under carpeting or it seeps through the cracks in the tile or it's under refrigerators. Cleaning up a crime scene and getting rid of blood, even for professional services, they miss stuff. There's always something left behind.
And FYI, everybody, Windex, don't cut it when it comes to cleaning a crime scene. Toby Wilson, I only pray that you are correct. We wait as justice unfolds. Goodbye, friend.
We wait as justice unfolds. All right. Based on the suggestion in the chat, we are going to ask Bard, which is the AI model from Google, some questions. Let's see if they answer. Who is Bryan Kohberger? All right, we're asking. By the way, guys, as Google is trying to form the answer, wow, that was fast. I was going to let you guys know we have 12 on our super sticker train. We're going for 18. We're only 6 more there. And we have literally 6 minutes left in the hour. So I'm wondering if we can get 6 more in the next 6 minutes. Hey, Marigold making that 5. Hey, we only need 5 more. Can we get 5 more super stickers in the next 5 minutes? Tyler, that explanation makes sense as to why his parents would be shocked. They did not know he was spiraling so quickly. Last he knew, he was a great grad student. Exactly. That's a great point. Bingo, right on the money. Thank you, A. Marigold, for that super chat. Really appreciate that. Bryan Kohberger is a 23. We already know that that's incorrect. Year old man who's accused because he's 28. Kohberger was a student at Washington State University at the time of the murders. He was arrested on December 30th, charged with 4 counts. Kohberger pleaded not guilty. His trial scheduled to begin in June of 2023. Kohberger's case has drawn national attention. He's been portrayed by some as a loner and a social outcast. Others have said he was a bright and promising young man who snapped under pressure. A. Marigold, kind of going with that. I'm going to ask about that. Is there evidence he was a promising young man under pressure? That's the question I asked. I asked the question, is there evidence he was a promising young man who snapped under pressure? They said there is some evidence that Bryan Kohberger was a promising young man. He was a straight-A student in high school and was accepted to both Washington State University and the University of Idaho. I didn't know that. He was also it's interesting. Was he accepted anywhere else? However, Kohberger also had a history of mental health problems. Hey, Don Kelch, thank you so much for that super sticker. Hey, we only need 4 more. However, Kohberger also had a history of mental health and had been diagnosed with depression and anxiety. He'd also been prescribed medication for those conditions. He had been hospitalized for a suicide attempt in the past. I didn't know that. In the months leading up to the murders, Kohberger's mental health had reportedly deteriorated. He had become increasingly isolated and withdrawn. He had even stopped attending classes. He had been talking about death and suicide. Is this true? Is it possible that this Google Bard can like hack into the police department's documents? Let's think of some questions to ask this thing. I'm serious, guys. Hey, Melanie, thank you so much for that super sticker. Appreciate that. In the months leading up to the murder, Kohberger's mental health deteriorated. He had become increasingly isolated and withdrawn. He stopped attending class. He even had been talking about death and suicide. It's possible that Kohberger snapped under pressure from mental health problems. He may have felt like he was a failure, which is basically what I said, and that he had no future. He may have also felt like he was a burden to his family and friends. However, it's important to note this is just one possible explanation. I'm going to say, you mentioned he was accepted into, was he accepted into any other programs? I am not aware of any other programs Bryan Kohberger was accepted into. However, it's possible that he applied to other schools and was not accepted. It's also possible he applied, that he was accepted into schools, but he chose to attend Washington State University. I've searched the web for information about Bryan Kohberger's educational background, but I cannot find reliable sources. Is he guilty of murder? Bryan Kohberger has been charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder. He's pleaded not guilty. His trial is scheduled to begin June 2023. If convicted, he faces the death penalty. Only a jury can decide whether or not Bryan Kohberger is guilty of murder. The jury will hear evidence from both the prosecution and the defense, and they will decide whether or not evidence proves beyond a reasonable doubt that Kohberger is guilty. This is fascinating, guys. I'm trying to think of another question to ask it. Is there evidence that supports him as guilty? I'm going to ask if there's evidence that supports him as innocent too. Kohberger's DNA was found at the crime scene. Kohberger's fingerprints were found on a knife that was used in the murders? That's not something we know about. Kohberger's cell phone was tracked to the area of the crime scene on the night of the murders. A witness saw Kohberger near the crime scene on the night of the murders. The prosecution will argue that the evidence proves that Kohberger is guilty. The defense will argue that the evidence is circumstantial and does not prove beyond a reasonable doubt. So I don't know if his DNA was found at the crime scene. When they're talking about his finger, I guess they're saying DNA was found at the crime scene, the DNA on the knife sheath. But I don't, if they found his fingerprints on a knife. So either this thing is just making up facts, which is possible, or this thing has inside scoop. Now I'm asking if there's evidence that supports him as innocent. here's the evidence why they think Kohberger might be innocent. Number 1, no criminal record. Number 2, no history of violence. Number 3, Kohberger has a solid alibi for the time of the murders. Number 4, he passed a polygraph test. Huh? Number 5, there's no eyewitness. All right, let me ask this. What is your source that Kohberger passed a polygraph test? See if we can figure that out. I apologize for previous response. I'm still under development and learning to be informative and comprehensive. I've searched the information about the polygraph tests, but I've not been able to find any sources. Okay. What? Oops. I accidentally closed out of that. I don't know how. Let me bring it back up. Dang it, we got to start from scratch. Do I have a history of activity? Gosh, it totally disappeared. All right. Who is Bethany Funk? Don't have enough information. Who is Bryan Kohberger? It fixed it. It says he's 28 years old this time. The motive for the murders is under investigation. However, police believe that Kohberger may have been motivated by a desire to study the victims' deaths. Really? What is your source for I find this really fascinating, guys. It's either just making up things or it has inside scoop. What do you think? Put a 1 if you think it's just making things up. Put a 2 if you think it has inside scoop. I'm saying, did they find a knife with fingerprints? Because that's what it said on the previous one. Yes, police found a knife sheath with DNA that matched a sample taken from Bryan Kohberger's trash in Pennsylvania. However, the murder weapon itself was never found. The knife sheath was found at the crime scene next to one of the victims. It was a tan leather sheath with USMC on it. The sheath was later processed and found to contain DNA matched a sample. The murder weapon itself was never found. I think it's just making stuff up myself. But it may have some inside scoop. So we never know. All right, guys, we are up to 15 on that super sticker train. We're going after 18. We only need 3 more. We've totally missed our deadline, but I'm extending it, and I'm hoping we can reach our goal. So,
traffic stop and the search of the accused killer's apartment. We want to show you the body camera footage of WSU police officers searching Kohberger's campus apartment after the stabbings of 4 University of Idaho students. Now, that search happened in December of 2022, just about a month after the murders occurred. WSU also released some video of a traffic stop from a month before the murders. Take a listen to Bryan Kohberger's interaction with the officer.
Hello, I am Officer Langus. Stops being audio and video recorded. I think you know why I stopped you. You ran the red light.
What actually happened was I was stuck in the middle of the intersection.
Yeah,
so
I was behind you the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So technically, you're not supposed to enter the intersection at all for that reason, because if the light turns red, then you're stuck in the intersection, and then you're on the red light. So that's the reason I stopped you. Do you have your license on you?
Do you know the entrance to Johnson, that street?
Thank you. Do you have the registration and insurance?
Do you remember where you needed to? Yeah, so if like, you know that light?
We just get this for you out.
Just before it?
You what?
I'm just gonna get this out for you.
Okay.
That street.
So would you explain that to me a little bit further? So in Pennsylvania, when you're stuck like in their intersection, you have to make the left. So what would the appropriate thing for me to have done be? Just
It's required.
There's no reason for us to watch that because we've already seen it. Hey, Irene Kuboto, thank you. Don Kelch, thank you. We're just one away from our goal. Really appreciate that. You guys are amazing.
Were made from various media outlets. Boy, he talked his way out of that ticket, didn't he? And he was very polite with the officer, wasn't he? Let's talk about this some more. Tweet us your thoughts right now. Let me bring in my guest, criminal defense attorney Joe Tamburino. Joe, what'd you think watching that, please?
Well, yes, he's intelligent. He obviously knows his way around police. He was very respectful. He was very deferential. He basically was like, look, I'm from out of town and sure, give me a ticket, but I really want to know what I did wrong. I'd like to learn better for the future. I mean, this is going to be great evidence, I think, for the prosecution in his trial. Why? Because it gives them two things. One is he's not insane. This person is obviously functioning in society and is able to deal with police officers and other people. Second, it shows that he could be manipulative, that he could talk his way out of things. I would use this completely if I...
You guys think he was being manipulative? Hey, Jersey Dolphin, really appreciate that.
Was the prosecutor in their case.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you, Joe. Let's look at it from the other side, because as you know, as the great trial attorney that you are, you know how to look at everything from both angles, or multiple angles, I should say. And for the defense, this could be helpful too, right? He is so polite. We're not seeing this raging maniac that the state of Idaho is saying committed these 4 homicides.
Yes, that's right. The defense is going to have to use it as, look at this person's character, look at his being. I mean, he's not a person that's just going to kill 4 people, brutally murder them. Sure, but remember, that's in almost every type of murder case. And, you know, we've seen it so many times where someone says, well, there's no motive, even though motive's not an element of a crime, because this person really had no axe to grind against the victim. Look at how this person was a month before. So, yes, from the defense side, you're always going to raise that, but it's basically one of the arguments that they're going to use.
Right. Joe, I'm curious, you know, we talk a lot. You're one of my favorite guests, as you know, and with this case in this prelim that's coming up in June, I'm curious, do you think this is to Bryan Kohberger's advantage to have a preliminary hearing, or do you think it would be more advantageous for him to waive it, have his counsel and her investigators continue gathering evidence, and then fight it down the line?
With a high-profile case like this, they're going to have the preliminary hearing, and here's why. Whenever you have a case where there's so much on the line, like a case like this, you're going to utilize every tool that you have. And one of those tools is going to be challenging probable cause. You're going to try anything you can for your client because the stakes are so high. So yes, I don't think much is going to come out of the preliminary hearing, but of course you're going to do it anyway.
And do you think it's smart for the defense to do it so publicly? Because we know cameras will be there, court TV will be there, courties around the world are going to be watching this one. I might be the cheese that stands alone on this one, but I just keep thinking if I was repping him, I wouldn't have that hearing. I would keep real quiet because the gag orders are keeping everybody quiet anyways, and do all the investigatory work behind the scenes and then come out with everything that's favorable down the line at trial.
Well, I think I would partly agree with you that I think it's not going to be good for him to be on camera and have this preliminary hearing and to go through all of the evidence. However, I think from the defense side, when you're just trying to protect your client's rights, it's really hard to say we're just going to waive something. Sure, it does happen, but when you look back on the case, especially if he gets convicted of all of these, you know, his appellate attorney is going to say, did you utilize every tool that you had in trying to defend this guy? So yes, the optics are going to be bad for him, but I don't see another alternative.
All right, folks, listen, I've had an amazing time hanging out with you tonight. Be praying for me and my family, as it's just been a difficult time. You know, anytime that there's a loss, I'll be traveling back to Nashville tomorrow and be home in time for Faith Friday. So join us at 7:30 p.m. Central Time Zone then. Also, if you're able to support the channel, we literally are totally crowdfunded. I had to take the day off yesterday, obviously, and because we didn't stream or make a video. But would love your support if you're able to help us out through PayPal, which is Tyler Feller, Cash App, $, Tyler Feller 22, or Venmo, which is at Tyler-Feller. Let me pray for you for just a second. So, Father, I thank you in the mighty name of Jesus that you've granted us the privilege of joining together as a community tonight. Lord, I don't think it's by accident the people that you're drawing to this channel. And Father, I pray that there's even people on the stream right now listening to this prayer that question whether or not, God, you are even real. And I just pray right now in the name of Jesus that they'll begin to sense your power in a brand new way, that they'll have their spiritual senses awaken to who you are and the reality of what it means not to be a part of a religion, but what it means to have a relationship with you. And I thank you, Jesus, that when I'm in my time of trouble, I don't have to run away from you as religion teaches, but I can call you, I can come to you in prayer, I can and I desire to come straight to you in that moment, that you are a source of strength, help, and refuge for me. Lord, I pray other people would begin to see what it's like to have a relationship directly with you through Jesus. And so I just bless every single person watching right now. Lord, I bless them with supernatural peace that surpasses all understanding. In Jesus' name, amen. Hey, guys, thank you so much for being on the stream. And I think we barely eked by and made our goal, which was great. I'm glad we were able to do that. But appreciate you guys, and we'll see you soon.